There's a ton of people making the move to Alberta over the last few years, and everyone seems to have their eye on Calgary, Alberta. It's a beautiful city, but with all the people moving there, the cost of living has gone through the roof over the last few years. That's why a lot of people are starting to consider a smaller mid-sized city that's not too far away called Red Deer, Alberta. All right, full disclaimer before we get into this is not a shot at Calgary. I think Calgary is an absolutely amazing city, one of the best in the country, and definitely one of the best cities to live in Alberta. Now, I know you're probably thinking, why even comparing these two cities? We have Red Deer, which is 110,000 people, and we have Calgary, which is about 1.6 million people now. So there's a huge difference. And if you like the busy lifestyle, if you like the bigger city, then this video isn't for you. You're going to want to choose Calgary. But a lot of people who are looking to move to Alberta, they don't even know that Red Deer, Alberta exists. They only look at Edmonton and Calgary. So they're not aware that just right in between the two cities, there's a fantastic mid-sized city, which is super affordable and not too far away from the bigger cities and all the great things that come with living in Alberta. So let's get started. Let's talk about the cost of living between both cities. Now, when people are looking at cost of living, when it comes to groceries, utilities, all that kind of stuff, there isn't going to be much of a difference. This isn't the biggest thing that people care about. It's real estate prices, especially in the current state that our country is in with our broken housing market. And we can thank fancy socks for that. But Calgary and Red Deer, there's a huge difference when it comes to purchasing real estate. So at the time of making this video, we're just about through the entire year of 2024. Real estate prices are not going to change that much. Price for a detached home in Calgary, Alberta is sitting at $715,000. The price for a detached home in Red Deer, Alberta is $425,000. That is a massive difference. That's $300,000 just about.
That's way too much.
We need to figure out where we go from here.
Now, to put that into even more perspective, the price of a townhouse in Calgary is sitting at $437,000. So detached home in Red Deer, $425,000. A townhome in Calgary, $437,000. So even getting into a detached home compared to a townhouse from Red Deer to Calgary, it's going to be more affordable in the city of Red Deer. Now, just to give you an even bigger picture of how real estate prices have increased in both cities, we took 2021 to the current time frame right now of 2024. Calgary went from $517,000 to the current price of $715,000, which is a 38% increase. Red Deer in the same time period went from $352,000 to $425,000, which is just over 20%. So this just gives you an idea of how many people have moved to Calgary over the last few years and how popular this city is. And just a reminder for those looking to make the move here, I am a licensed realtor in the area. If you would like any help with the real estate needs, use the symbol popping up. Get a hold of me any way you'd like. I would love the opportunity to earn your business. All right, back to the video. So we've talked about the real estate prices, what it looks like to buy a home. Let's talk about the rental market. Now, there is a huge difference between the two cities. As you would expect, 1.6 million versus 110,000 people. Now, all over the entire province of Alberta, again, because of all the people are moving here, the rental market is extremely competitive, and the prices of rentals have gone up exponentially over the last few years. But if we look at the numbers, the average price of a home, or the average price to rent in Calgary, is $2,049 per month, and the average price in Red Deer is $1,470 per month. So this is a massive difference. Red Deer is actually ranked as one of the most affordable mid-sized cities in the country when it comes to rental markets. Actually, 6 out of the top 10 were from Alberta, so it just goes to show you the cost of living in Alberta is generally better than most provinces. Having said all that, Red Deer's rental market has increased 16% over the last year, which is absolutely massive. In the same time frame, Calgary's actually decreased 1%. This is the first time since 2021 that Calgary has seen a decrease in their average rent prices. Now, I think that that is a really interesting statistic. Calgary has generally blown Red Deer out of the water when it comes to rental prices increasing over the last few years. But to see Red Deer at 16% and Calgary drop back down to 1%, if we combine that with the months of inventory, Calgary has been an extreme seller's market over the last few years, where months of inventory have actually been below 1 month. This is the first time in the last few years that Red Deer actually has a lower month of inventory than Calgary does. So Red Deer is actually sitting at 1.6 months of inventory, and Calgary is sitting at 2.29 months of inventory, which means that Calgary is kind of moving into more of a balanced market, and Red Deer is still an extreme seller's market. And I think this goes to show you that a lot of people are getting priced out of the market in Calgary. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me who are looking to make the move to Red Deer because real estate prices are so much more affordable, as well as those people coming from out of province. They're looking to that central Alberta area just because their dollar goes so much farther for them compared to what they would get in Calgary. Now you're probably asking, why wouldn't I consider one of the closer cities that surround Calgary, like Airdrie or Cochrane, Chestermere, Okotoks? They're super close. They're not that much more affordable. Airdrie is right now, the time of making this video, is the most affordable, and the price of a detached home was $625,000. Cochrane, which has been one of the fastest growing municipalities in the province over the last few years. It's beautiful, it's west of Calgary, you have great mountain views. It's a really fantastic smaller city. The price of a detached home there is $675,000. So even though you're getting out of the city of Calgary and you're considering one of the communities that surround it, you're still going to pay a premium for real estate, which is why people are starting to consider Red Deer, Alberta even more. And this kind of segues into my next point when it comes to living in Red Deer versus Calgary, is there's more opportunity for people like first-time home buyers in Red Deer. You know, you have that median price of $300,000 difference, so $715,000 to $425,000. This means that you're going to have to save up much less of a down payment, your monthly expenses are going to be significantly lower, and you're going to have much more disposable income to go on vacations and do all those things that we love to do, instead of being house broke and a slave to your mortgage. And typically over the last few years, the buying process in Red Deer compared to Calgary has been night and day different. So Calgary, a lot of the times, we're going into bidding wars. You're buying homes without conditions. You're writing offers on 5, 6, 7 homes before you finally get one accepted. Red Deer's definitely been a competitive market as well. It hasn't been nearly as crazy as Calgary though, but with the statistics that we just discussed before, with the months of inventory and the rental markets changing the way they have, it'll be interesting to see what 2025 brings for both cities, especially with the interest rates dropping the way they're expected to. And in my opinion, I think there's going to be a little bit more opportunity for investors in this central Alberta and Red Deer area. We have so many things taking place. Red Deer hasn't exploded yet like Calgary has. We haven't seen those prices go up as much as Calgary has, but we have so many different things taking place with the hospital expansion, the $1.8 billion hospital expansion, and the one that I am most excited about, the Red Deer Airport expansion, which is in phase 2 of a phase 3 project right now, a $30 million project. They're adding more passenger flights. You can access major Canadian destinations like Toronto and Vancouver and other ones as well. You can fly to Edmonton and Calgary if you wanted to as well, although that's a pretty quick drive. But I think you're really gonna start to see this central Alberta market boom, which means massive appreciation. Anytime you increase those transportation lines, it's going to be great for Red Deer as well as the entire central Alberta area. All right, now let's talk about the location of both of these cities. So Red Deer is the central hub of central Alberta. It is the major city within this area. And then of course, Calgary is one of the major cities within the province. It is a very beautiful city. Now, Calgary is farther south by about 140 to 150 kilometers of Red Deer. In my opinion, I kind of consider Calgary to be the gateway of southern Alberta, and then Edmonton to kind of be the gateway to northern Alberta. Now, if being close to the mountains is super important to you, obviously there is no comparison between these two cities. Calgary is only an hour away from some of the most beautiful mountains in the world, and Red Deer is about 2 to 2.5 hours away. So if you're someone who's going to be using the mountains every single weekend, you're going out there all the time, whether it's hiking or snowboarding, or skiing, or just getting away. However, for most people, life is busy. We have kids, we have to work. They have these grand visions that they're going to go to the mountains, every weekend or twice a month, when in reality, they end up going maybe 5 times a year, and they don't end up going to the mountains as much as they wanted or expected they would. Now, Red Deer, even though it's not right up there like Calgary, you are still a day trip away from the mountains. And I would argue that most people, if they're heading out to the mountains, they're gonna make at least a couple of days. They're probably gonna make a weekend out of it. So if you're living in Red Deer, you can be to Banff It takes me about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes to get to Banff. So it is still a really easy day trip. And again, if you're making a weekend out of it, that extra hour and 15 minutes really is not a big deal. Now, here's where I think Red Deer's location shines. Of course, we are right in the middle between Edmonton and Calgary. We've discussed this many times. You're the halfway point. So whether you need access to Edmonton or Calgary, depending on whatever it is, if it's international airport, or you want to go to the zoo in Calgary, or if you want to go to West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton, or if you want to catch an Oilers game or a Flames game, I can't even say that word, Flamers game.
What are you saying? What are you saying to me?
Red Deer is definitely super convenient for being able to access everything and being close to everything, or everything that most people would consider important in Alberta. So being close to the mountains is a day trip, being close to Calgary, being close to Edmonton, being only 15 minutes away from the best lake in Alberta called Sylvan Lake. This is a legit lake town. This is a huge tourist attraction. People love this area as well. And as well, people don't really know that you can go straight west of Red Deer. If you go about an hour and a little bit past Rocky Mountain House, you get into the mountains there. You get into a place called Nordag, which has amazing hiking. It's really a beautiful area out there. So if you want to be close to the mountains, yes, Calgary is a better option if you're going to be using them frequently. However, keep in mind that Red Deer definitely isn't that far away. It's only a little over 2 hours away, and it's still a super easy day trip. All right, now that everybody understands where these cities are located, let's talk about the differences in weather. And we're not going to talk about spring, summer, fall. They're all pretty much the same. We have a very dry climate here in Alberta, and our summers are super nice no matter where you are. Now, what everybody wants to know about is, what are the winters like? Is there a big difference from Red Deer to Calgary? And in my opinion, it's not a big enough difference to choose one over the other. A lot of people think that if I move to Calgary, which is a little bit farther south, I'm going to avoid the brutal winters that we get here in Alberta. And that is definitely not the case. So if we look at average temperatures for the two cities, Calgary ranges from -5 to -10 degrees on average throughout the winter. Red Deer is from -8 to -15 degrees, so it's not really that big of a difference. Both areas are still going to get the cold snaps that come with living in Alberta. You're gonna see -30, -40, and God forbid, if we see -58 with the wind chill like we did last year, I'm moving to Texas.
We're there. Got a little dippy going too fast out here.
So on average, Calgary is going to be slightly warmer. In the springtime, you might see that snow melt a little bit sooner. However, there's been many times where Calgary's been colder than Red Deer. And for example, this year, Calgary got a huge snow dump before Red Deer did. It took about a week to move north up to Red Deer. Now, one advantage that Calgary does have when it comes to kind of a little break from Alberta's cold winters is the Chinooks. Chinooks are amazing. They're warm winds that come off the mountain. You can go from -15 to +5 overnight. So it is a nice break when it's been really cold. I love Chinooks. Lots of people, however, they don't like them. When a Chinook rolls in, there's huge changes in barometric pressure. So those who struggle with migraines, you can really struggle. And it really causes a lot of freeze and thaw cycles. So you can get a lot of ice down there. It can be slippery road conditions. So a lot of people don't like them, but I, for one, am a huge fan of the Chinooks, and it is a nice advantage of living in Calgary. Now, I was watching a video about Tampa, Florida the other day, and the guy was bragging about how much sun they get. They got like 234 days of sun in Florida, of all places. And that's what made me realize that how lucky we have it in this area of Alberta. This is the sunniest area in the country and one of the sunniest areas in the world, I believe. So on average, Red Deer will get 324 days of sun per year. Not much difference compared to Calgary. Calgary gets a little bit more at 333 days of sun per year. So it really makes these, these winters when it's super sunny outside, it just makes them a little bit more bearable. And it's just a little bit better on the mood. So all of this to say is that there isn't that much of a difference between the two when it comes to temperatures in the wintertime. Calgary will be slightly warmer on average. However, you're still going to get the cold snaps. It's still going to be an Alberta winter down there. Both places get lots of sun. So I wouldn't let the winter temperatures affect your decision on which city you want to move to. All right, let's talk about lifestyle and recreation between the two cities. Now, again, it is pretty tough to beat having the mountains in your backyard. Calgary is definitely going to win in this scenario. I mean, the Canadian Rockies, they're absolutely stunning. They're beautiful. I think a lot of us who live here in Alberta, we take them for granted. I get out there like once every couple years, so it's kind of sad really. But if we remove the mountains from the equation and we look at just what's in the city, I think pound for pound, Red Deer might actually be better than Calgary. Now, Calgary has a lot of beautiful parks. It really is a beautiful city. Right near downtown, they have Nose Hill Park. Now, in my opinion, Nose Hill Park actually isn't that nice. It's just like a big open area with no trees. I'm sure it's great for walking your dog and getting out and exercising and stuff. But if you go farther south into Fish Creek Park, this is a beautiful park in the city of Calgary with tons of beautiful walking trails. There's a man-made swimming lake. Downtown Calgary has Prince's Island Park, which in my opinion, it's a super cool vibe down there. It's super busy, full of activity. Lots of live music and different things going on. You can have dinner down there. Every time I stay in Calgary, I stay at the Sheraton, which is right downtown, and I absolutely love going to Prince's Island Park. Now, of course, we have the Calgary Zoo. I believe it's the only zoo in Alberta. I'm pretty sure Edmonton doesn't have one. So this is really fun. This is amazing. Callaway Park. Man, I used to go there when I was a kid. The lineups there are a little bit tough to deal with on a busy day, but Callaway Park is a really fun way to spend the day with the kids. However, if we move up to Red Deer is also no slouch in this area. So one of the things that I think is Red Deer's superpower and that we're really well known for, and what a lot of people don't even realize, is that we have so many beautiful parks. We have an amazing river valley with tons of interconnected walking trails. I've lived in the city or in the area since 1998, and I myself haven't walked on all the different walking trails, but our river valley, it is next level. We have Heritage Ranch, which is a beautiful park. There's so many different things to do there. You can follow walking trails all the way down the river to Bower Ponds, Discovery Canyon. We have one of the nicest dog parks in the country called 3 Mile Bend. This is a beautiful dog park. Make sure you do check it out if you're here. A lot of people, they look at Red Deer as just that place that you're passing by when you're going from Edmonton to Calgary. And most people, they just see Gasoline Alley, which is all the businesses and gas stations. It's not actually even part of the city. It's part of Red Deer County. Most people don't take the time to come into Red Deer, and you go online and you read people's comments on forums. It's like, I don't even know where this stuff is coming from. Red Deer is very green, it's very lush, it has lots of different trees. It really is amazing when it comes to this area. Now, we can talk about skiing and things to do in the wintertime, but we can't really compare it to the mountains. The Canadian Rockies are absolutely outstanding. I mean, if you don't want to make the day trip to Lake Louise or Banff or whatever it is, we do have a great little ski hill just east of town called Canyon Ski Hill. It's the largest non-mountain ski resort in Alberta. In 2019, a lot of money was put into it for the Canada Winter Games. It really is a pretty cool little area, but if you're looking for that world-class skiing, you're going to want to be in Calgary. Now, of course, when it comes to professional sports, Calgary is going to blow Red Deer out of the water. We do not have any pro sports teams here in Red Deer. We have a WHL hockey team called the Red Deer Rebels, which is fun. You know, the Centrium holds 7,100 people. It's a super intimate feeling. It's really good hockey and super entertaining. And then just out west, we have the Sylvan Lake Gulls, which is a Western Canadian Baseball League team. This is a blast. Definitely go check out a Gulls game. Now in Calgary, of course, they have the Calgary Stampeders, which is a CFL football team. Then of course, they have the Calgary Shames, who technically are an NHL team, but honestly, I would just make the trip up to Edmonton to watch the Oilers because Flames have lost 6 in a row and they suck.
Shame. Shame. Shame, shame, shame.
Now, when we talk about lifestyle in both cities, I mean, there is a massive difference between a city with 1.6 million versus a city of 110,000. Calgary can definitely have some really nasty rush hours. Before work, after work, sometimes lunch isn't as bad as the before work and after work rush hour, but there's a lot of people who work downtown Calgary. And you know, for example, I think I heard a statistic that 80% of Airdrie works in Calgary. So you can imagine what the Deerfoot is like. So the Deerfoot is actually Highway 2, which comes straight through Calgary. So during these rush hours, this road is absolutely disgusting. I hate traveling here.
Look, let's not go down that road again. Come on.
Never gonna get through this traffic.
Many times when I had to do a transfer on the ambulance down to Calgary and I'm trying to get out of the city, we're at that 4:30, 5 o'clock time. It feels like there must be an accident on the Deerfoot when really it's just traffic and people have no idea how to drive. It's always congested. So if you want a more laid back lifestyle, this is definitely where Red Deer is going to shine. You can be across the city in 20 minutes. 20 minutes at the most, even during the busiest times. I think the average commute time in Calgary is 30 to 45 minutes, depending on where you're coming from. But in Red Deer, you don't have the traffic issues. You're not really gonna have any issues finding any parking. If you go downtown Red Deer, you know, there's always lots of parking spots. I don't think I've ever had to search for one, so I mean, to me, that's a huge bonus. I hate the busy city. I love visiting it, but I don't like living there. And in Red Deer, we have all the big city amenities too, minus some certain things like, IKEA or some unique clothing stores or whatever that looks like. But you just don't have all of the issues that come with living in a big city. Red Deer really feels kind of like just a really big town. So I grew up in a small town called Whitecourt. It's got about probably 15,000 people. Honestly, Red Deer doesn't feel a lot bigger to me than Whitecourt did. So really slow pace, super laid back lifestyle here in Red Deer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I made this video because not a lot of people realize that Red Deer is an option here in Alberta. They're just looking at our big cities. So if you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell so you're notified every week when a new video comes out. And of course, if you would like any help with the real estate needs, give me a shout. I'm a licensed realtor. Would love the chance to earn your business. All right, I will see you guys next week. Cheers.